I think it's kind of... How did we get on this? Drag in Australia. Yeah, so...
I am thrilled to say I am with Reuben Kaye. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. What a lovely little setup.
And I've got to say, when I walked into the theatre, we've got to say we're at Soho Theatre in London, the West End, glittering
Soho.
West End. Yeah. First thing you see when you walk in is your poster, your face.
Huge face.
What a fabulous face too.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to see. I won't lie. I could be humble, but it's. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Great. It's fucking lovely. It's fucking lovely to see my
You're
face.
pushing everybody else out. You're there. It's me. I'm here. To people that don't know your show, and I'm a virgin too, because I've never. Well, not a virgin in that sense.
No, I saw the way you sat down in that chair. I'm guessing not a virgin.
How would you sum up what you do, your cabaret performance, to people that don't know you? I would imagine it's quite a tricky thing to sum up.
Yeah, I don't like defining what I do. I feel like other people are going to do that to you anyway, no matter what you are, whether you're queer, whether you're straight, whether you're what. Other people are going to tell you what you are.
Yeah, put you in
People
a bracket.
told me for years. I was a gay kid in Australia. People had no end of telling me what I was. So I don't define what I do. It's halfway between a runway show and a mental breakdown.
I know that's my kind of thing.
Equal
Sticking the
parts
boxes.
glamour and a cry for help.
Now, I have to say your repertoire includes Kate Bush, which is music to my ears. I
Heaven.
adore her.
Yeah. I love anyone who's so esoteric to the point of exclusion and yet incredibly accessible. She's so witchy, she's so crazy, her music was so kind of left of field. Yet actually that's what makes someone incredibly marketable, incredibly memorable. If you're just doing things that have been done before, if you're just using the same 4 chords, if you're just doing all that kind of bullshit, then you don't get remembered. You get played maybe for 5 seconds and then people go, oh, you just into the wash. But people like Bush, people like Angelina Johnson's, people like Bohemian Rhapsody from Queen, all of those weird, out-of-the-box things, they are memorable.
Is that what you want to be as a performer? Is that your inspiration?
I'd like to be
People
financially
like
solvent first, but after that, memory would be great.
if you could name your biggest influence, would you cite
Liza
those
Minnelli,
artists?
straight away, or Bette Midler, 1976, the Cleveland tour.
That's so weird, because you showed me a picture of your first makeup, because you do all your own makeup.
Do makeup.
And I find this incredible. Some of the photos you just showed me of you covered in glitter and your own makeup and costumes, you do everything yourself. You get a bit of help.
Yeah, but you get a bit of help. If you don't know how to do something, you try it yourself, and if it doesn't work out, you go, I need to find someone who knows how to do this, and they can help me. But yeah, of course, makeup is something that's really integral and really personal for, if you're doing this kind of work, I think it's you, it's what you want to be, it's what you want to do, it's how you put yourself out there. It sends a message, it has to do part of the job of the performing, because it's there for a reason. So I have to do it myself.
You said you looked like Robert Smith in your first picture, and
Well, I mean,
he's my hero.
But like a hard, cracked out Robert Smith. That first photo, you guys aren't going to see it. No one's ever seen it, but he gets to see it. Part of being an artist, if I can get wanky here, like I'm an artist, and I tell dick jokes, is that you live your evolution as a human in a public way. A lot of people develop as humans in a very private kind of insular way, and that's their own thing. But if you're a performer, that's out there. You have to. I think it's one of the things is that you have that urge to push it out and not to say, look at it, but to have it very publicly so that people can see it.
You've won many awards, many cabaret awards. Has it gone to your head?
Yes.
It has?
Yeah, I'm a monster. Yeah, I'm 5 steps away from Norma Desmond. It's going to be a turban, a monocle, and me in a kimono going, Max, put on my tapes. It's... Look, awards are great. Awards are lovely. But the thing that is the best thing is, doing the shows, seeing people after the show, chatting, getting to travel, getting to see the world, all that kind of stuff is the great stuff. That's like the textbook press answer.
Can you remember where you were when you first heard that you won an award? It must have been amazing.
Yeah, I was on stage.
Best place for it, isn't it?
Yeah, I just finished the last night of the Adelaide Fringe run. I was bowing, doing like the bows, and then they came up on stage, and I was like, they're going to do something because it's the last night. That's hack. I don't want to do that. And then he comes and says, oh, they've just announced the award winners, and Reuben, you've won Best Cabaret. And it was great because the whole audience knew it was the last night we were filming. They were super amped. And the whole place just went mental. And they cracked champagne, and then all the audience kind of came up on stage. It was a lovely moment. It was my first time at Adelaide Fringe, my first big proper Fringe festival.
Fabulous, perfect timing.
Yeah, heaven.
And you were filming too.
I was filming, so there for record, so I can use it when I'm masturbating.
Now, one critic said that they couldn't take their eyes off you when you were on stage.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that?
Yeah. I just said yes. Yeah, of course.
Lap that up. Do you get that where you look around in the audience though, and you spot maybe hot guys or hot women that you can't take your eyes off?
Oh, I get distracted all the time
Do you?
because I'm cock hungry. But the thing about it is, it's the show that allows the freedom. You know, very much that kind of a performer. It's an instinctive thing. It's kind of like, Heath Ledger as the Joker when he said, "I'm like a dog trying to chase cars. I just wouldn't know what to do if I got one." It's that. The show is that. That's part of the show, and part of the joy, I think, is trying to see the band keep up with me. Trying to see my band, my piano. I've got a band, so it's Reuben Kaye and the K-Holes, and it's seeing them try to fucking see what I'm going to do next. And that's just the joy.
And that's a real art form, isn't it? Because you've got to be very quick on your feet.
I mean,
with instant reaction.
You could say an art form. I'm just a loudmouth faggot.
That's on the billboard.
That was the press quote they wouldn't let me use here.
The epitaph.
Yeah.
Is that the same with hecklers? Do you encourage hecklers? Because
look, you don't encourage hecklers because you've got a thing to do. You know, you're there. You've got the show. It is there. But the show has room because I just believe that the audience interaction and the audience moment, that connection that you have, is actually the thing people come to Cabaret to see. Cabaret for me is like punk before electric music came in. Yeah. It has to have that no rules. It has to have that excitement, that kind of nothing is sacred. And part of that is a connection between the audience and the performer that, let's say, you don't get necessarily in a West End musical. And if someone wants to say something, if someone does, sure, bring it on, because it's great to see, oh, am I going to sink or am I going to swim here?
Yeah.
And it's part of that live theatre.
See, I find that really exciting in Cabaret. I find that whole punk ethic exciting because it's no holds barred, it's edgy.
I got raised on drag in Australia. And drag in Australia in the 90s and 2000, that's some butch men up there in wigs, which is great. Courtney Act and I were talking about how in Australian drag often men get butcher in drag, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I'm not necessarily like the poster boy for testosterone, but once I'm in the drag, you feel so much more grounded and so much more powerful. I think it's kind of, how did we get onto this? Drag in Australia. Yeah. So you do, there's a rawness to it in drag in Australia for sure. And that's why I think some of the best circus and some of the best cabaret performers and the ones who come out of Australia, like La Soiree came out of Australia, La Clique came out of Australia, Club Swizzle, all these other things, because there is this kind of punk ethic behind it to get in and amongst it. I think, of course it has changed. I just think the audiences are ready for it more now. All this stuff was niche. Because of an aging population and because I think Australia back then and the world back then was much more keyed into this, if we're going to use some real BuzzFeed words here, that heteronormative nuclear kind of thing, and how culture was meant to be, what theatre was meant to be. And now subculture is mainstream. RuPaul's Drag Race has made drag mainstream.
Exactly, and I suppose back then it was how you're meant to be masculine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what even is that anyway? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, kids these days are now waiting for ages to actually determine what their identity is, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And how they relate to their masculinity and how I relate to my masculinity.
Now, you live here in London now.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been here?
8 years.
8 years.
Mm.
Have you seen a change in that time compared to back home? Were you in Australia before?
Yeah. I was in Melbourne. I moved to London to be closer to Europe, to be part of a more tolerant environment, but somewhere more queer, more out there, and more accepting and all that. And having gone back to Australia recently, I kind of have seen the change that actually Australia is now that place, and London, if anything, is London and England after Brexit, after everything has become a really dark place. I think that politically there's a bunch of people in power who are just grabbing anything and everything they can for themselves while the world burns.
Yeah.
And it's a really dangerous, shitty place. You know, we've just had acid attacks at Dalston Superstore.
And all the stabbings.
We've all stabbings. And the thing is, it's not that London is more or less, it's that the funding and the amount of police on the road, on the street, have been reduced so much that everyone's coming out of the woodwork now.
And people seem really angry now too, which obviously doesn't help because that's part and parcel of it. Yeah. But you made a really good point just before we started filming, was that your act is really valid, like even more valid particularly now, because we need comedy, we need to feel
and also you're
better.
In a world where you're being told that you as a person are not important, and you as your identity is not valid. So anytime anyone stands up and says that, it's a political act, and it's a political act, and it's rebellion, and it has to in some way bring people together. Comedy, anyone's comedy, is incredibly valid because it brings people together and creates unity. I mean, I say everyone's comedy. Roseanne Barr's comedy, not so valid anymore. But it's, you know, theatre, any kind of experience, anything that we can do that creates unity at this point in time is valid.
I'm guessing you use YouTube a lot, because you're on YouTube, you've got a channel there.
Thank you.
If you were down a YouTube rabbit hole, what would you be watching?
Look, I'm old school. I'll go back to watching Bette Midler at the Continental Baths, you know, and I'll go back and use YouTube to watch performances that I will never have a chance of seeing live. Charles Pierce at the Pavilion in Los Angeles, Bette Midler, Liza Minnelli on the Tokyo tour, on her midnight show in New York when she's cracked out of her head and sweating, but she's performing at 150%. All those greats, all bits of Danny Kaye, all bits of the Marx Brothers, you know, that's the stuff that I would be down the rabbit hole seeing.
And that's how YouTube started, I guess, as well, isn't it? Before all these YouTubers took over.
You should treat it like an archive, because that's how you're going to learn the most. If you just keep on going down the rabbit hole of like the cultural sewer, then you're going, well, that's just reinforcing the worst parts of this culture. And
what is the funniest thing that's happened to you on stage? Because your act is funny. What about you? Do you find mistakes funny?
You have to embrace the fuck up. There's a woman in Edinburgh whose laugh stopped the show. Stopped the show. I couldn't do the show. I was pissing myself laughing. She sounded like she was molesting a small hamster. It was great. It was just phenomenal. Moments like that where the audience become part of the show, but not in a I'm forcing you to become part of the show. There's just this real moment, and then it kind of breaks, and every single person in the room becomes on the same level. You know, my bass player cracking up, my piano player cracking up, the audience pissing themselves, me losing it, and us losing it at her, and then it all feeds in, and unfortunately the show runs over. But it's that singular moment that you remember.
Because it's unrehearsed, isn't it?
Yeah, completely unrehearsed. Also, I once got stuck in a harness in Leicester Square in Piccadilly Circus, singing David Bowie's Space Oddity, and the winch jammed.
See, he would love that. Bowie would love that.
Oh, Bowie would have loved it, I'm sure. Sure.
I'm just trying to work out what the sound of somebody molesting a hamster would sound like. It's a bit worrying. Good to see you. See you soon.
Thank you so much.